Hello and welcome to SI Capital's first podcast and virtual site visit with the Panther team. We have Kate and Nick here from Panther to talk about the project that they have been working on over in Canada. So let me start off with Kate. Do you want to introduce yourself a little?
Certainly. Hi, I'm Kate Cameron. I'm a GIT based in Southern Ontario in Canada, and I am the on-site geologist right now for the Big Bear project undertaken by Panther Metals. And I have spent from last May to the current time working a 3-week in, 3-week out shift on that project.
Oh, lovely. And Nick, yourself.
Hi there. Yes, I'm Nick OReilly. I'm a non-executive director of Panther Metals. I'm also an exploration geologist. So I've been involved with Panther since its inception, and I've been to site a number of times. And I've been in these COVID times. I've been working remotely with Kate and the team to help direct and manage the exploration progress.
Oh, superb. So virtual times for not just yourselves, but also us as investors into Panther Metals and understanding the project, which I was hoping to get over in this podcast today. And so I think the first thing to talk about really is the Schreiber, or as Kate's just been telling me, Schreiber area. It's got a number of geological models that you're assets that you're looking for over there. Could you tell me a little bit about the orogenics and the VMSs that you might be looking for?
Oh yeah, shall I kick off on this one?
Oh,
yeah,
please.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so the exploration model, is, as you rightly say, is for orogenic gold associated with greenstones. These are, the target is for Archean age lode gold. We're also on the lookout for volcanically hosted massive sulfide deposits, which is VMS deposits. So what we're looking here for is gold associated with metamorphic terrains in very old volcanic and metasedimentary rocks. The same belt is known to host the massive Hemlo mine over to the east. And we know from historical records that the area of Schreiber where we are has numerous gold showings and small-scale gold mines, but it's largely been overlooked from in terms of modern exploration.
Oh, lovely. Okay, so on the ground when you're looking for these things, because it's all very well looking at these theoretically, you've got to be getting on the ground, getting dirty and seeing the rocks. And we've seen over the last few months, Darren posting pictures, I guess, from Kate and the rest of the team on the field of these fantastic looking rocks out there. Kate, can you tell us a little bit about the terrain that you're working in and what exactly, when you are exploring and looking for, what is it?
Let's start with the terrain. We have great access to the property through pre-existing ATV trails. Those trails are rough, but fully operational. So we access most of our site by ATV track that goes along power lines there. The terrain is very typical of Northern Ontario. So we're talking about an area that's about 2 hours east of Thunder Bay, for reference, right at the north end of Lake Superior. And as per usual in Ontario, Ontario's north, it's hilly. It doesn't have tremendous amounts of topography. It tends to keep under 200 meters change in vertical. The bush is very, very dense in some areas, especially the areas as you're moving away from the lake, it becomes more coniferous, less deciduous. There are cedar swamps. There are a lot of fir and balsam, which can be difficult to traverse. So it takes some time and care, especially to find outcrop. But we do, of course, find that outcrop. We are, when we're out in the bush, we're often targeting outcrop by looking at aerial photos. And then, of course, any specific place that has been targeted from, for instance, the geomagnetic survey that was done. We go into an area like that, and there may not be outcrop, so we dig. You dig, you get your hands dirty. And what we're looking to see a lot of the time is, of course, quartz veining sticking out is the first thing anyone's going to look for. Also different alteration types where you see that those metamorphic fluids have come in and altered something, or shear zones, which of course mobilize a lot of minerals. So we're looking for, many signs of the orogenic gold type deposits, as well as anytime we see a bunch of sulfide. That's very exciting as well, because again, we're looking for that VMS type of mineralization.
So this is kind of a key point, is you're in an early stage of exploration, but known gold and mineralizing forming system, but it's not necessarily finding gold which is exciting for an exploration geologist. It's actually alteration textures, which is actually quite key, that you do have outcrops at surface, because you as a geologist, you're in the field, you can pick up a rock and suddenly say, actually, not only is this potentially of economic interest, but this other rock can tell me that there is other possibilities of mineralizing rock in that area, even if they are underneath or within the very thick foliages of that region. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, we're not afraid to do a little bit of digging. We are permitted to do some very small scale outcrop stripping. So we occasionally do a little bit of that to get a cleaner look at a slightly wider area. And the alteration for sure is one of the first things we're looking for, because although not unheard of, it is of course rarer to find VG in a rock, especially in a nuggety deposit. That's
VG as invisible gold. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Superb. So I guess another thing to think about is then the soil sampling that you've been doing. Again, this is now leading off from some of these more regional targets, which Nick has been Nick was talking about, and some of your field samples. You're then looking to develop away from those to build exactly what the footprint is that you're going to be targeting. Correct?
Right.
Yeah, and
yes.
You recently came out with some soil sampling data, not just expressing the gold, but other trace elements. Is correct?
That's right. Yeah. And those soils give us a good idea of where to look. They're not pinpoint examples. Gold is exactly here because it is a soil. There's some transportation involved. But they give us a great idea of where to concentrate our search. And the results that we got back were quite encouraging. We have several zones that may be extensions of known zones or might connect to each other. So we're very happy to be sort of granted to be shown those zones where we can get in there and explore in finer detail. The property is quite a large property, so we have started sort of at the larger scale, and now we're working down to these smaller targets, and the soil samples have been a great help.
Maybe Nick, you can tell us a little bit more about your vectoring process, or targeting strategy in what makes for you a good target.
Yeah, sure. So I think we touched on the fact that we're in the right sort of belt, in the right sort of geology. The other major factor that we're looking at is a permeable, permissive terrain. And by that, I mean, are there structures where large amounts of fluids could have flown? Are there dilational zones where those structures meet, where mineralization could have been precipitated out by chemical or by physical pressure, temperature changes? So that's one of the great helps that the magnetic survey has helped us with. We've been able to interpret where some of those structures may exist. Also, we're interested in heat flow, so the presence of intrusions, the granitic bodies to the south, the major batholith just to the south. We know that there's a lot of historic mineralization associated with that. We've also deduced from some of the recent geophysics that we've flown that there are likely other intrusional bodies within our claim that aren't mapped on the regional geology, and so we're vectoring in on those types of clues. Heat sources, dilational changes, as Kate mentioned, metamorphic grade associated with those intrusions, and then we're doing the reconnaissance. Kate's digging her holes and stripping. We're putting out our larger soil grid. So if we've got perceived structures from the geophysics, perceived heat sources, dilational zones, and then we've got chemical anomalies in the soil, then we start to get excited. And I think we've got some areas now which we are looking to focus a little bit more attention on in the coming weeks, whilst not neglecting the fact that we've got a lot more targets that we need to go out and test as well. So it's an ongoing process, but we're going to concentrate our efforts on a couple of specific areas as well. So
superb.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've certainly been watching this one very closely, because for an exploration geologist looking at a region which is known for being a good mining district, but you're almost starting off from a blank sheet. There's been very little work done there. And I guess actually we could say that this tough terrain that Kate's been working through has actually benefited us, because we can now use these regional kind of sampling techniques, such as the airborne geophysics, to see through that cover, which historically hasn't been able to be done. And now you guys have gone in there, sampled, identified actually these things geochemically and structurally hold exciting looking prospects. It's time for you guys to develop these targets, rank them, and progress them forward. Superb. Okay, well, thank you very much, Kate and Nick, for giving your time to talk us through a little bit about what makes this project so exciting, and good luck with the work in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Charlie. We look forward to speaking again soon.
Beautiful.